Before this video begins, I'd like to say that the subject matter we will be talking about is very serious and should be taken very seriously. If you or a loved one is in a manipulative relationship or other, please seek help. There are those who care and will listen to you. You don't deserve to be manipulated. You deserve to be free. On this episode of Axiom Radio, I will be continuing the previous video where I talked about Rebel. This video is going to delve in an interview to those who worked closest with her. I have lined up 4 different people. To protect their identities, I have given them aliases. Joining me today is 2 of them. I have Jacob, who is actually a leader of 2 of our Axiom communities, and young Karibo. If you 2 would like to introduce yourselves, now would be the time to do so.
Hello.
Greetings.
As usual, my co-host today is Caleb, and what we will be discussing is the effects of the previous video at the expense of the community. Once the video was posted, it was posted into her community as well as the original Bleach Amino. Some of the members of Axiom did not like this. However, those who called her out on her manipulative ways were, in fact, stood behind. Now, we have screenshots provided in the private Discord of the words that she spoke, as well as those who apparently she considers her closest allies. And we will be discussing what they said, as well as asking the 2 other members that joined Caleb and I today what happened in the past years. Now, this is not to badmouth or ridicule her in any way. This is to expose toxic nature that needs to be addressed so that further people don't get hurt by this type of behavior. As I stated prior in the video, at the beginning, seek help. There are those that love you. There are those that will listen. And there are those that care. With that being said, our members already introduced themselves. I'm going to pass it to Caleb to talk about his thoughts on the matter. Caleb?
Alright, so I personally haven't been as close to this issue. I only ever get close to it when it comes to us.
Mm-hmm.
There were periods of time where I was in her community, where I was, messing around. And, of course, no, I think I was at that point. But, hearing everything that everyone has said all of these years, which is crazy to think that this has been going on for years, and not 4 years, fortunately, but going on for long enough that you can consider it to be over years. It's just so disappointing, I think, that someone can have such a strong conviction in what they're doing and feeling like it's okay for this long, and there being so much to cover, so much that proves, like, we have, I wouldn't say maybe concrete, but enough that it has a point to stand on to make this person and these actions, sorry, I should just say these actions look very despicable.
Mm-hmm.
Manipulation is just absolutely horrid. Mm-hmm. And I guess there's nothing else to even describe that. It's just horrible. And I guess I could. No, that'd be a little bit too preachy. Regardless, I feel like it's important that we do get to talk about this, and that we hopefully can shine some light for some people that are kind of having their heads wrapped around in a circle.
Right. And to those who stand behind Rebel wholeheartedly, I hope you get the help that you deserve and that you see how she treats you. I know that you don't listen to this video, and you probably won't. And once you find out about this video, it'll just cause more hell amongst the communities. But I truly do feel like you deserve better, you know. And it's not funny. It's not cute. It's not anything like that to be in a manipulative, borderline abusive relationship. You know, I've heard stories of what's happened with all of you. I've heard stories of people leaving her, and then once she made dojo, everybody just came back because she's a soothsayer. You know, people don't understand how bad of a problem that is. Now, the first screenshot I have open right now is one from the video in the comments section. She says, "Aw, someone is so mad." Don't be mad. I came to your community to help bring it to life, and this is how you repay me. Typical. This falsified trash. I left your community and it dies again. Cole, your community is dead because you are a hideous human being that feeds off of drama. That'll never change, which is also why your community will never succeed. Maybe focus on Bleach and not childish drama and fake news. Now, I will admit, I personally believe that drama is a good way to get activity. However, I will never go out of my way to bring drama forth. She was asked to be in the community, as I stated in the last video, to help bring activity. Once she left, activity did not change. In fact, when she left, we were even higher than when she came in. Now, as far as focusing on Bleach and my community failing, my community has over 1,300 members in it. And it's all because of my beautiful staff. It's all because of the people I've worked with and grown with. And I've never taken that for granted. I've never said that it was me that did all of this. It's because I work as a team with the people that I've chosen. I couldn't ask for a better staff, and I thank them more than I could ever actually express. It might not be every day, but when I do, I try to make it the best I can. I also say that this is her third community. Like I said earlier, her staff was leaving her because of how abusive she was to them, how hardly she talked to them, how incredibly disrespectful she was. And they went off and they created their own communities. Now, why would somebody say that my community is dying when they were banning their staff left and right because they didn't agree with them? It seems a little... what's the word I'm looking for? It seems like you're trying to shift the blame from yourself to someone else. I know for a fact that if I was in her community, she would have banned me right away. But I don't ban people from my community. And you can ask Caleb and you can ask Jacob this. These people that irritate me, anger me, things like that, I don't ban them. They can leave on their own accord. Now, that's also another thing. She says that, typical this falsified trash, I left your community and it dies. It didn't die. And the only trash that was there is you. Was you. I said I wasn't going to shit talk, but ooh, kill him. I have to say it. She also brings up fake news. If it was fake news, then why are there people here to testify against you? You know, why are there people who have gone on record by saying that you are a horrible leader? Why are there people that have gone on record and saying that they don't like you because of how childish you are? You left my community because I wouldn't let you have your way. It wasn't because I tried to oppress you or bring you down in any way, shape, or form. I tried to help you. In fact, I even read off our entire conversation. I was very civilized. I was very polite in all of our interactions. And in fact, I'm sure if I could pay an editor, I'd have those interactions put at the top of the screen or on the front of the screen. Now, I do go on, and I basically tear into her. I said, what's your excuse then? You ban literally anyone who disagrees with you. On top of that, I'm not the one who started over 3 times trying to basically beg others to follow her. You should seriously try anything. You should seriously try anything before you make an ass of yourself. My community has over 1,300 people in it. How many people does your third try have? Especially after lying and saying that you were completely done with Amino. Funny how you say I feed off of drama, yet you badmouth, threaten, and ban everyone that doesn't fall to your will. But stay tuned for the next episode where we interview those people you've wronged. And then we see what fake news. Then we see what's fake news. Funny how you get like this when you don't get your way. But one more thing. What's your badge number? As I stated in the prior episode, we do have screenshots of her impersonating a police officer, and she once again avoided the question for this. Now, there we go. The conversation goes on further. However, I don't wish to fully drone on like a lot of people would at this point. But she states that my information is misconstrued and that she only bans trolls. If that were the case, then she wouldn't have banned someone for posting the Axiom Radio video. She also accused them of being me, but none of my accounts, albeit only 2 of them, are in her community. And every account I've ever made is banned from the main Bleach community. She said other people cause drama, come and cause drama. That is what the agent is supposed to do. Be a man for once and change your path. It's unbefitting. It does not matter the numbers. It does when you're actively impersonating a police officer. That is against the law. I would like to state that. She was talking about the community numbers. Oops. What matters is the activity. Once again, activity did not change when she left. My people are almost always on in my community. You're just spiteful because your community is dying. Clearly the numbers here do not matter. Now, one of the biggest thing is when people try and say that numbers don't matter. A YouTube channel, will take PewDiePie, for example, the most subscribed YouTuber in the world with over 150 million subscribers. People would say that his channel's dead because it gets 1 to 3 million out of the 150 million. Does that mean it's dead? No. In fact, the activity bar has actually been at its highest in my community, whereas if people go onto hers, it's at a 1. And I think she's trying to personify her own faults onto my community. Now, later on, she actually joined a chat and began talking through not only herself but her little staffsman, who, once again, I stated prior that I truly do hope that they get help. And I'm going to once again give it to Caleb to discuss that portion. Caleb.
All right, so what we're looking at in particular right now is after the Axiom Radio was posted, and she came back and decided to, or along with commenting on the post itself, she began talking in this chat, and of course we made sure to get all this so we could read through it. It starts off with the screenshot of the comment that she left on the video post, and she left saying deuces, kind of like a, drop in and head out.
Go on.
Sorry, it's been a little bit. I'm trying to read through them to make sure I...
You're good. Take your time.
Okay. They go on saying a couple things like no need for drama. I guess they seem to want to put that label on the situation. And Cole said, "I'd love to see her reaction to the people that I'm interviewing that were in her circle." She goes, "Behave like an adult, Cole. Stop attacking people to justify your sick, twisted mind." And then I actually come in and respond with, "How is he attacking people if they're just commenting on his post? Being responsive and aggravating are two different things." She follows with, "He's blogging attack and harassing for no reason. I did nothing. His actions cannot be justified." Now, what she's talking about in particular is how some of the comments on the post went a bit longer and he responded. My point being that it's a different situation to be an aggressor and be forcing it on them, and being responsive to something that someone else is doing, i.e. leaving a comment on his post.
Now, I will say this. She later goes on to claim that this is harassment in some way. To which I said, I don't think you really know what that word means, let alone how to use it. I stand by that because I'm not going after her out of spite, out of malice. I'm not bringing this to her. It's, once again, other people who are bringing this to her. It's people who feel like she should see this, not because it's comedic to them, but because it might be concerning to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she specifically went on to say, "You literally only attacked me, threatening my life even solely because I listed the community." To which I responded that when did he ever actually threaten her life? Because I know Cole, and I know we are, you know, unique types of people, and we're not nice at all. But threatening someone's life is something out of the range of possibility. That's just from experience. You, Cole, have had the worst reactions to. I know when you're at your worst, or relatively close to it, and that is nothing near life threatening. Anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to go on like that. But she follows with, when I was running Bleach Lore after I first listed it, he got spiteful because I listed it and didn't want me to list due to competition in his own words. He was childish and arrogant. He sent people to attack me and threaten my life daily. It's just because I vaguely remember when this was starting to go on. That's nothing like how it happened.
Now, I will say this. Anybody who knows me, Jacob included, knows how competitive I am. I am a very competitive soul. However, I would never threaten someone's life. And she was talking about falsified information, yet she wants to bring slander into this conversation like that. Something that she knows is false. Something that she knows is just being said solely to try and get people to pity her. And that is where it becomes manipulative in nature. That's where it becomes borderline abusive to try and turn people over to her side. I'm sorry to interrupt, Caleb.
No, it's all right. And of course, being me, I asked her for any evidence of this happening, and I would, in my opinion, it's voiding the question to say that it was a long time ago, because she was well convinced enough to come back to the community, and or that implies that she knows well enough, or still remembers well enough to, keep her eye on you.
Yes, to bring it up.
There's no way for her not to, like, if you were threatening her life, if anyone were threatening someone's life, I'd assume that they'd keep evidence of that, because that's something you can take someone, maybe not take someone to court for, but
yeah, you can take someone to court for that.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, you could take them to... That's huge.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's been 3 years. I've had other phones. It's like, no.
You can transfer stuff.
It's talking about... Yeah.
And as far as taking people to court goes, I bet she doesn't know that doxing is actually a very real thing that you can take someone to court for. She has threatened in the past, and we do have evidence, we have screenshots of this, of her threatening to leak my name, number, address, and face to the public. Now, that's something that you can go to jail for. I don't know if anybody knows that.
I didn't know that it was a jail offense, but I knew well enough that doxing is definitely a serious offense.
Yeah, you can flat out go to court and go to jail for it. Pretty crazy, huh? Anyway. Continue.
From there, talking about her avoiding the question, I said that I don't see why that matters. If you've had a grudge for the guy, then you could easily find a way to transfer photos. she replied with, "I don't have a grudge. The only one that's holding a grudge is him because I listed." Now, again, just as he said before, we did not take this to her. This comes up because of her. And saying, yeah, we have this stuff. We want to be able to let it be known. Then this is not us. We're just the media.
Mm-hmm.
We become the medium for people to be able to let others know that this is going on. Sorry, I just...
No, you're good.
God.
You're good. You can keep going if you'd like. This is to expose the toxic behavior, you know?
But from there, I mentioned, if you don't have a grudge, then why would you describe him to have a sick, twisted mind? Because she said incredibly colored words about you to not imply that she's really upset. And she replies with, because he's attacking me, again, for no freaking reason, to get his rocks off because he's salty. He literally sent another lapdog to my community moments ago to harass me. And she posts screenshots of the person that put up the video in her community. And it looks like there was just a post and check it out, and that was it. It was nothing about harassment. It was nothing about... Sorry, again, I'm trying to find the right...
Yeah, you're good.
But it's like, even if a person is being to deliver the video, yeah, that would, be forceful. That's objective. The video is us talking about what she was talking with Cole too. Or we were talking about the PM.
We were talking about her character that she was making.
Yeah. And discussing her behavior, discussing the way she acts. Just essentially like we're doing right now. We're discussing how she acts, how she deals with people, how she acts around people, and is expressing these manipulative behaviors.
Right.
But all the video is that. And yeah, that one was definitely not as serious as this. But it's still entirely objective. I said later that the content is biased, yes, but people still have the full human right to take information from what they know and take information, from what they know and make conclusions within themselves. People, when they obtain information, they relate it to information they already know. So that means that when someone were to have watched that video, someone close to her, then if the information that they have already in their head overpowers that new information, then they decide to stay. And that's that. But if she's controlling the information getting to and not allowing them to have new information, then I think that's proof enough that she is manipulating, that she's keeping them closed in her little bubble. After that was... After that, it was her actually just kind of throwing shade, trying to say that it was an alternate account of Cole with nothing to stand on. Yes, the person was also in the community, but she was just saying it's Cole, and it was not. And from there, after that, it was just about finished. She sent a bit of a longer post saying, like, I asked my people refrain. As for this place goes, I came here and brought it to life while I was here to try and assist you and all of that. And a few minutes after that, she up and left the community again.
I'm sorry if I'm being quiet. I'm actually writing down specific questions to ask.
I guess, should I go after or go over like a post thought?
Yes, by all means.
So, all in all, sorry, I have to collect them real quick. Communities are and we as groups of people, you know, we can have our bias, and very well change. I'm disappointed to say that I've had my fair share of being dejected and upset for no reason, and it's I guess strong emotion are always going to put voids in things, because I guess it's just it just chucks it ends up going to back to human nature, and that can be great. It can also be dangerous, and the way that this ends up going, it's no. Sorry, I'm going back on words that I think I'm going to say because I don't feel in the right place to say them.
Mm-hmm.
All I want to say is, people, be people, be humans. Don't be someone else's human. Be your human.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have the bee's knees, then you have your bee's knees. If you want to have normal knees, then you have your normal knees. Don't let someone else tell you whether you have the bee's knees or you have normal knees.
Have your own knees.
Yeah.
I actually think that's a perfect time to segue into the interview process. Out of the two of you, who do you think should go first? We have Jacob and we have Karibo. All right, good talk. Jacob. Karibo.
I'm sorry, we were talking in PMs.
Which one of you wants to go first?
Ben, would you like to go? Kariba, would you like to go first? I'm sorry. I'm just after what we've been talking about.
I would like to apologize first and foremost that first segment took as long as it did. It's just behaviors like that need to be talked about first. So
I personally feel like, based on everything that's going on, I feel like Jacob should go first.
All right. By no means are either of you in a rush. I'd like to say that. I have a list of 6 questions that I'd like to add. If I think of anything else, I'll I'll plop it on,
Do
but
you mind if I get a breather first?
yeah, go right ahead. It's all right. Take all the time you need.
All right,
Okay.
I'll go first then.
All right. So the first question I ask is, what is your main experience with Rebel? Like, what type of duties did you have? How close were you with her? What?
In I'll have to start off by saying in rep, my main duty was I was her, I guess, fourth hand, because it went me, uh, Satomi, and then Dio, and then myself. I was underneath them all, and my whole duty was to keep the place alive. And I guess, long story short, as you said, she did go through 3 teams. I was there for the 2, for Realm and Lore. I mean Dojo. And long story short, she left Realm all on me. And that's when it all died. That's when everything changed, and she went to Dojo, where my duties became, I was the moderator. I was the one that made sure everyone behaved, made sure there was no drama, and I did my job well.
Now, what was the reason that she left Realm all to you?
Well, that's the thing I never understood. All I know is that she said that she was being attacked by trolls, and that's all I really got out of her. And I really tried being a friend to her. I was like, okay, talk to me. What's going on? I want to try and help you so we can get past all this. And she would not talk. She just vanished. Satomi then vanished. Dio kind of went offline and did his own thing. And then Kumo was, the only curator that was really helping me. And I'll give him credit for that. He was the one person that was there with me through it all. But she practically left. I had people attack me. I won't deny it. I had certain people attack me that I'd just rather not talk about. But she left me in charge of community itself, broadcasting everything. She just up and vanished. I was left on my own. While, might I point out, I was in the hospital at this time. I was recovering from, what's going on.
Yes.
Basically, a sickness that's been hitting me really hard. And I was
And
in the
it has
hospital
been
dealing
for a
with
very
all
long
this.
time.
Yeah, that's what happened.
What do you think goes through her mind? Like, why do you think she acts like this? Why do you think she tries to shift blame onto others, treats them like garbage, and impersonates law enforcement? That's one of the biggest things that I've been trying to understand this entire time.
Well, until this point, I didn't know about the law enforcement thing. I remember, like, someone bringing it up in, our staff chat. And I was like, okay, what was going on here? And now that I heard the actual story behind it, I don't know what to think was going through her mind. Like, for someone to actually, she knew I was in the hospital and she just vanished. I told her, I was like, I can't handle all this stuff and all that. And I left. And that's when I came to you. That's when I told you, I can't stand there anymore.
Naturally. Now, one of the biggest things that I'm going to ask each of you these 6 questions, but I want to know, why do you think Amino allows this to continue? Now, one of the biggest things, and I've told everybody in the past, and I'm going to say it on the stream right now, I'm basing this type of interview process off of the Chris Hansen interviews about Gregory Jackson Onision. And one of the biggest things that he asks all of the victims, all of the people that have dealt with Onision, is, why do you think YouTube allows Greg to stay on this platform, make money and things like that? Why do you think Amino allows someone like Rebel to continue creating communities, continue to manipulate people, and continue to basically put people like you through trauma like this?
If you want me being honest, I don't think they care. I do not think they give one damn about what happens there. They just put it up to put it up.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen so many places with there's some places with, like, I've seen in her communities there was pedophiles there. There
Really?
were people who were sexually attacking people in PMs who came to me as a leader and asked me what to do. And me, I didn't know what to think of this. This was going on in a community that I was supposed to run, that I was supposed to moderate, and I didn't.
Now, did you go to Rebel with any of these things? Did you try and contact her in any way and tell her, hey, these types of things are going on, what do you want to be done about it?
The thing is, this was about the time that she just vanished.
Mm-hmm. So it was impossible to get in touch with her.
I tried. I actually had her personal phone number and everything. I tried texting her. I tried calling her.
Mm-hmm.
I got nothing.
So she just 100% ghosted you with no prior knowledge of leading a community and with no type of initiative or guidance whatsoever. She just said, here you go.
I mean, the only true guidance I really had was when I'd ask you questions. When I was trying to build my own. And I'd ask you questions. That's all I was really going off of, was to be myself and all that. But that, I didn't know what to do.
I see. I'm sorry all of this is happening.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. Do you think behavior like this could be compared to someone like Gregory Jackson Onision, who is under investigation by not only the FBI but the local Washington police, as well as whatever county he's in, the sheriff's department for them, and Chris Hansen? Do you think this type of behavior is akin to someone as manipulative as Greg Jackson? It's cult-like behavior.
I wouldn't say it's full on that, but I'd say it's getting there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say if it doesn't come to a stop, it can get worse. I've seen good people like Dio.
Yeah.
He turned to be biased towards certain people. You know me. I'm unbiased no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always the neutral party.
You are.
But seeing people like that, I can't stand it. I need to find out a way to get some help.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think should happen?
I honestly think if I were to sit down and talk to one of them, I could probably convince one of them that, not really convince, but show them what I've been through, what I had to deal with on my own.
What would you show them specifically? Who would you try to convince? Who would you try to help in this way to get them away from this abusive behavior, this manipulative behavior?
I'd honestly say the opposite. Kumo's too far gone. Kumo's like a loyal dog. You saw how he acted in the community.
Yes.
Anything she said, he went along with. Dio was the only one that was truly on my side.
Now, do you know the reason why Kumo would act like this? Why he's so loyal to Rebel?
Long story short, she gave him what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted a special spot in the community, and she gave it to him, so he's loyal as a dog.
Do you know why she would do something like that to somebody and then have them feel like everybody else is against them?
Well, back to your whole cult thing, I think that's what she's after.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's after like a full-on like troll army or something like that to just attack, to manipulate them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what she's planning, but if I had to guess, that'd be it.
Well, I guess that answers the sixth question. Why do you think she does this? But I remember talking about the whole situation with Caleb, Corey, and I'm not sure if you were there or not, but Caleb actually brought up something when we were discussing it, and she said that I was threatening her life. Caleb said that it seemed like she was trying to bring people to her side. Caleb, do you remember that?
Not particularly. Bring people to her.
Like, make people feel sorry for her and turn against me.
Yes. By saying, or by making her herself kind of the damsel in distress, kind of like, oh, he threatened my life. The way that she had worded anything or everything, it seemed to be wanting to, continually capture people. Like, oh, all right, so I have opportunities here. We'll let some more people.
Yeah. Now, Jacob, I want to thank you for being with us. You don't have to stay if you don't want to, but we will be continuing this episode. We are pushing 46 minutes right now, and I appreciate all three of you being here for this. Caleb, I know you're technically a co-host, so it's not really much of a choice, but I do appreciate you giving your feedback and your input on something as big as this. Next up we will have Karibo. Karibo, if you want to unmute.
Hello.
How you doing?
I've been better, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah? You nervous?
Oh, greatly.
Yeah? It's understandable. Don't worry. Everybody gets cold feet when they're in the booth. We are not in a booth. I'm doing this from my house, and everybody else is in their houses. We're doing this through Discord. Now, Karibo, you actually said that you are a curator in Realm. Is that true still?
As of now, yes.
And what are your thoughts of when the community was just dumped on Jacob?
I felt like it was rather unfair to put such a responsibility without warning, like she did, onto someone who was not doing well themselves. It's like, I feel like there probably would have been a better candidate for such a situation like that.
And who do you think would have been the better candidate?
I actually believe whoever's running it now is probably the best candidate we could have had.
Are they running it well?
Yeah, but it's sort of just a
Well
wasteland now, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. If you could say anything to the people over at Realm or at Dojo right now, what would you tell them?
I guess this didn't need to happen the way it did. This whole thing is just
take your time,
throwing everything I've known.
Yeah.
It's like Realm was like a family to me, in opinion. Like, that's how close I felt to everyone, but I'm not sure if they all felt that towards me and everything, because I didn't really have anything else at the time. And so it's like just feeling betrayed by someone who was rather close. It's just, I had a hard time recovering from that, and I just more recently started getting back on amino and stuff.
Now, what's your main experience with Rebel? What do you think of her? What was the main thing that captivated your eye, that brought you in close to her?
Could you restate the question? You were kind of cutting out on my end.
What was the main experience with Rebel? What was the thing that caught your eye, that brought you in to basically be a part of her cultistic behavior?
Well, I guess it was the felt feeling bad about everything that happened to her, quote unquote, happened to her, and how I would be there and she would rant to me sometimes, and I would rant to her sometimes about stuff that was happening in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, we sort of, like, built a trust on that and stuff like that.
And what kind of, looking back on it, what kind of opinion do you have on the type of rants that she was giving? What type of feeling do you now feel towards those deep emotional conversations? Do you think that they were just there to bring you closer into her mind, into her little circle, just to be manipulated even more?
If I'm gonna be honest, I feel like that would be the case. And it's like most people on Realm, even Jacob, knows the stuff that I've went through IRL that almost like scares me to death and everything. So whenever I do open up about it, it really does mean something.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like I was betrayed by everything that happened because I just opened up to someone who just seems like they didn't care.
Yeah. And during the whole first half of this episode, when Caleb and I were reading off all of the things that was happening at the time, what were your thoughts on that situation of her commenting all the things? Now, I've honestly had people, including in my personal inner circle, tell me that my actions were childish towards how she was acting, which I can honestly say that I can see. I could have handled situations like that a little better. However, that's for me to reflect on later, or at a different time at least. My questions are for you. What are your thoughts on everything?
I just like, if I'm gonna be honest, it's I initially came into this from Realm because, like, sure, I was in Axiom, but I sort of just joined it one day, and then I followed into Realm from a third party who I will not disclose for personal reasons. And
Understandable.
so I sort of just went on to Realm and ended up doing all my stuff on there, becoming a member of the community and all that. And so I only knew one side of the story initially before all of this started happening.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I knew there was stuff happening, I just was never given full details.
Uh do you now question why you weren't given full details, or what was honestly kept from you, or why she didn't want you to know the full story?
I mean, I honestly don't know.
Mm-hmm.
How it's I feel like it was in order to persuade me to stay loyal, I guess.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you're telling the story, you can control what the listener is able to intake,
Mm-hmm.
and you're able to make yourself look like the victim in a certain scenario, when in fact it could be either way.
Mm-hmm. What do you think goes through her mind, like when she's trying to manipulate someone, when she's trying to play the poor me syndrome card, or when she's trying to gain the trust of others by allowing them to open up to her?
Like, I, I feel like she's trying to either fill up a hole that she herself cannot fulfill,
in a normal way through through a companionship or something like that. Maybe. I'm no psychiatrist.
Well, apparently she is, considering she brags about all of the psychology classes that she's taken. But that's neither here nor there. Why do you think Amino allows this to happen?
If I'm going to be honest, I share the same opinion as Jacob does on this question. They don't care.
It's a very sad thing. And that's the platform that we ourselves are on, you know?
Yeah.
Regardless of if we have our own communities, Amino is the platform that we all share. It's not like we can just go to Discord and join all of these different communities and roleplay and all that. You know, Amino is, at least for right now, the best platform that we've got.
Yeah.
But do you think, do you know who Onision is?
If I'm going to be honest, I don't.
Okay, you remember back in like 2011 or something like that, the I'm a Banana song?
Yes, I do know that.
That's Gregory Jackson. That's Onision. That's the guy who is being investigated by the FBI, the Chris Hansen, as well as his local sheriff and police department. In the past year, being 2018, he had 19 calls to his house. People reporting abusive nature, not really manipulative behavior, but abusive nature to not only his family, but his children as well as his animals. And do you think behavior like his, having the cops called on him this many times, is similar to Rebel?
To an extent, I would say yes. But it's obviously on a different playing field than something that. But yes, I do believe, to an extent, yes.
And what do you think should happen?
I feel like that I'm sorry, my mind's just going blank right now.
You're fine. Take your time, really. There's no rush at all.
Like, I do believe a course of action should be taken on based on the behavior that we've all been shown and experienced through Rebel, but I just don't know what course of action should be taken exactly. Because, I mean, it is toxic to the communities for what is happening. Yes, I will say that. But she can easily just come back under a new name and just start everything all over again.
If you could say anything to Rebel and, you know, the people that she's hurt, manipulated like Kumo, what would you say to them?
Well, specifically to Rebel, I was going to say I trusted you, and the things that I've told you and other people that I've talking about things that's happening in life is like something that should be sacred, and it's like I try to be a nice guy, you know, like treat others the way you want to be treated and everything, but it's kind of weird whenever it's like sometimes it seems one-sided a lot of the time, but I try to put on this happy persona while I'm online and everything, and it's kind of hard whenever you just see depression and all that stuff affecting other people based on someone else's actions. Whenever it just reminds you that, hey, this is part of reality and things do happen, and there's nothing you can do to control that. And sorry if I'm ranting on about.
Go on, rant all you want. The floor is yours for a reason. I want you on here to get all of your heart out. You know, a lot of people don't get to share their stories. A lot of people are silenced. They're kept in the dark from being able to share their experiences, and I want you all to be here to finally be able to let your heart free.
Well, I mean, one thing that I actually got reminded of, like, just now is, like, whenever my rant earlier was that the fact that Rebel herself requested to be banned from Realm so she wouldn't interfere with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet she gave the leadership role to a person hardly any of us have heard about, and in the end, it just turned out to be her.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, what was the whole point of that at all? Just putting on some kind of illusion and even somewhat saying, like, I don't know why people think I'm Rebel and everything. Like, playing up like the act whenever it was just, in my opinion, it just seemed idiotic and stupid to do. Like, why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're just lying to everyone's faces who you are. Do you think that that'll give you a fresh start when some undo your mannerisms? Like, because you're you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no one else like that. So even if you try to pretend to be someone else, eventually you're going to get found out.
Right.
Heck, I had suspicions, like, ever since I had a PM talk with her other account.
Yeah.
I had my suspicions and all that.
And to Kumo and the rest of them, what would you say?
I guess I would have to say, are you sure this is the right choice?
Right.
And that's all I have to say to that.
And why do you think she does this? Why do you think she tries to manipulate people, play the pity card, go on and make fake accounts and give herself leadership over the communities that people have entrusted her to lead in the first place?
I like I stated earlier, I think she's just trying to fill something up. I don't know if that's some kind of fantasy, like power fantasy or whatever. It's just all confusing in the end, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And it's baffling, and it's like, maybe she just wants to be surrounded by people who love her, you know, and just so she feels empowered by all that, and she's manipulating people in order to gain more people to give her love and trust her and all that. Yet she'll also not give that love back equally to people, and like picking favorites for all that and all that jazz.
Well, I'm not going to give my opinion, but I'd like to thank you once again, both of you, Jacob, Karibo, Thank you for being on the podcast, sharing your thoughts, your experiences, your stories. I wish you both the best. I hope you can cope with this type of behavior and what's happened to you in the past, and we as a family in the Axiom community will be able to, help you even more. But the episode is pushing over an hour and 5 minutes now, and I'd like to end it off here. Once again, thank you guys for coming out. In the next episode... Yeah?
Can I say something? 'Cause
sure.
you reminded me of something.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry that I had to leave. I'm sorry that I was your last light. I was the last hope of Realm. I was the one that was pushing to keep it active. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry that I left you all. I'm so very sorry. I wish I could take it all back. I wish I could just be there for you guys when you needed me, but I left. And I feel like a coward for it, to be honest.
You don't need to feel like, Jacob, you don't need to feel like that. I don't blame you at all.
I don't either.
You're like a brother to say, and you know how much you mean to me as a person.
Realm was like a family. Like Karibo said,
mm-hmm.
it was like a family. Mm-hmm. Something was wrong, and Rebel was it. That's all I have to say. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me as well.
Thank you both for being on. I appreciate it deeply. In the next episode, it'll be an episode dedicated to her second-in-command, Satomi. Now, Jacob mentioned her earlier, and it may seem a little odd that she is getting her own episode, but due to time constraints, she couldn't be here today. And to Rebel, you've been on this channel before. So I invite you once again to Axiom Radio. Not just a silly little video where I call you out on something. I want you to come onto my podcast. We can do it one-on-one if you'd like. And I want you to try and clear your name. I want you to talk it out, not with anyone else, but with me. I know you probably won't listen to this, and I know your people probably won't listen to this. And that most definitely infuriates a lot of people. But if you do somehow work up the courage to come forth and listen to this podcast and listen to the things that people have to say about you, and you choose to come on, I just want you to know that I'm not going to spare any type of question. I want to know what goes through your head. I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know why you act like this and then try and push the blame onto someone else. To some people, to people who have trusted you, why would you betray them to such a point that this type of behavior is something that you see as acceptable? There are people out there who go through abusive relationships, whether physical, mental, or verbal abuse, every single day and can't do anything about it. And yet you brag about being some type of officer to help talk to people? What kind of mentality is that? What kind of nature comes forth through your head? Thank you for all the people who have come out to the stream. Thank you for all the people who are going to watch this and listen to this, whether it be in your cars, during your daily life, even if it's just going in the background. I appreciate it greatly. I'd like to try and help get this type of message to Amino itself, to talk to them, not to get some automated robot response as to why they don't unlist communities, but to actually try and figure out why they allow things like this to go on. But with that being said, sweet dreams, pals. I'll see you in the next episode.